Hello everyone. Welcome to Friday Night Spiritual Insights with Michael Mirdad. So today, somebody has asked me to talk about basically along the lines of free will and our power to choose and so forth. And there's so many topics that can branch off of this, but in relation to this for the time being, we're forever made in the image of God and are part of God. We decided to explore, experiment, whatever you want to call it, with the idea that we're not divine beings. Kabam! Earth was created. We came here in limited bodies, limited experiences, limited minds, because that's what we created for ourselves. Or it's better to say made up for ourselves. It's not really, the word created isn't best, because created, if you really want to respect the word, created is when you're co-creating with God. So it's really just made up. So we put this idea together that we're separate. Now we get here and we plead with God, those of us who believe in God, we plead with God to help. Sometimes we just plead to the sky or plead with life if we're suffering in some way and don't believe. But that concept of pleading is interesting because it's called prayer. Even though there's different types of prayer. That pleading is a form of prayer. And the good news about that, for sure, is that even the pleading is like saying, oh, dear God, there's something that's beating me up, something that's getting the best of me, something that's more powerful. I need your help, like you're calling for a rescue unit of some kind. There's a problem and I can't solve it. Please help. And that's better than nothing. Because God's ministers, angels, they come to us, they support us as best they can. But the truth of the matter is, as soon as we're saying, help, 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 we're saying, God, I need to tell you something has more power than I do, which is actually denying God's perfect creation that we are, which is made in God's image. So we're powerful, infinitely powerful, right? So technically, we're pleading a case of insanity to say, there's this thing, a piece of paper, there's numbers on it, and it tells me I have a debt I can't pay. It's a thin piece of paper, and yet we're affirming, oh God, I can't sleep tonight because of this piece of paper. God's saying, isn't it amazing? You know, the whole universe is in your mind. If you would just come back to not just pleading prayer, but empowering prayer, affirmation prayer, using your free will to choose something different, using free will to choose to be who you really are. And as soon as we affirm who we are, everything else starts to get reduced. The power those things seem to have, everything starts to sort of fade away. So we have what's called choice. When people say, I have free will, I have choice. I have the power of choice. I can choose to do this. Choose to be mean. Choose to be nice. Choose to be a saint, a sinner, whatever. And that's technically, you could say that's true. Generally, you could say that's true. But really, the only time you're actually exercising free will is when your will is free. If your will is bound in any form of limitation, via the ego or evil of the world, if you're bound, you're not using free will at all. You're using fear will, but not free will. And so free will is like when we say, I can choose again. I can make a different choice here. I was saying that this thing had power, but it's not possible. God, I want to side with you today. Go ahead and show me and teach me. Download. Show me and teach me. Download the truth of what's happening here. I forgot who I was. Help me to remember. Help me to feel the power of being a child of God, a holy child of God. And that allows us to have anything, to be anything. Not like some spoiled, entitled child, unempowered, a truly empowered being. So it's really quite beautiful if you think about it. And when we exercise free will, it's not like in a way you're using free will to bounce back to who you are instead of descending into root, kind of base or primitive, shallow consciousness. You're saying, no, I'm using free will, I'm going to choose God, which is great and true. But what's interesting is most people don't realize when they make that choice, they're already exercising that divine power that they think they're getting back in touch with through the divine power, through choice for that divine power. It's kind of cool. So as soon as you start to exercise the choice to bounce back, you're back to already the thing you're thinking you're choosing to go back to. So I just love the whole concept that people, mind you, people took my power. Nobody has the power. First of all, if everything has a spark of God within it, if that spark is allowed to fire up in a full flame, that flame in you, in me, and all of us couldn't allow something to take its power away. That affirms that somehow darkness, ego, evil has the power to remove God from the throne of life. And it does not. So when you say somebody took my power away, what you're really needing to admit, which is called responsibility, is that I chose to believe that I was small enough that someone or something could take my power away, and then I went along with it. But it's not true. I am as God created me. And that means I'm made in the image of God forever. And so it's almost like choosing to get over a false premise, a false belief, a false whatever you want to call it. So at that moment, I just think it's so amazing and so simple. At that moment, A Course in Miracles uses the phrase, choose again. When you see something's not clicking, not feeling like love and peace and joy, choose again. Well, what do you mean, choose again? Choose what? It means recognize and own, take responsibility that on some level you must have allowed yourself to believe that you're something that you're not, meaning a limited being, or that someone else is a hurtful being and limited, or that they're more powerful than you. And choose again means, and therefore own that you were mistaken and choose differently. Choose the truth of God rather than the falseness of the ego. And when you're making that choice, there's a phrase also that was asked about by another person online, which is the phrase change channels. It's like that. It's like flipping a switch, because we're always channeling. We're always, whether we realize it or not, but you're channeling either the light of God or the darkness of the ego. And neither of those, I should say, it's not possible for both of those to be sitting fully engaged at the same time. Like the old law of two objects can't possess the same space at the same time and so on. It's like that. You can't really, they're mutually exclusive. They can't both be firing away at 100% at the same time being accepted at 100% in our minds, because you only have 100% attention. So you can't have 200%, 100 of each. You're choosing one or another, and as the old Native American story of the wolves, which one you feed is the one that's going to typically win the battle between the two. So which one do you feed? Do you choose is what it means. Which one do you feed? Which one do you choose? Light, dark, love, fear, God, ego? What do you choose? Sometimes we don't even know we're choosing, but if you catch yourself, spiritual growth, one of the signs of growing is that we catch ourselves sooner. So practice recognizing when you're out of sorts, when you're not hearing guidance, inspiration, love. You'll know it's guidance from God when it feels inspiring. There's this whole vibe. You go into somebody's house and they say, I decorate with Greco-Roman style, their house, the yard, whatever it is. And you say, but what's with all the black Japanese lacquer? That's not Greco-Roman. Exactly. It doesn't fit. Go to somebody's house, they say total Asian, very Japanese, and so on. A lot of black lacquered, furniture, beautiful, highly polished and all that. And you go, really, that's what you're into? And you go visit and you go, there's white columns everywhere. It doesn't make sense. It's the same with getting guidance. God, the guidance of God is going to be synchronistic, confirming, clear, love-based, and so on. And when you're hearing something that doesn't resonate with that, change channels, just like you would on a TV. Oh, you know what? Horror movie, not good. I know it's not always clear. Sometimes very light messages with a little weird dark that got in there. Very dark messages with a spark of light that got in there. I know that happens. It'll happen less and less when we keep showing faithfulness to what we believe to be light. Because then our soul says, this person's not messing around. They want clear. Ego's going to say, well, let's hijack, let's put a little doubt in there. And they go, yeah, this person, they kind of don't succumb to doubt anymore. Our guidance from this thing, be it God or whatever you want to think, it could be angels or whatever, that guidance that's coming from there is improved and increased by the working we do of our spiritual muscles. It's not like you just, the average weak person can just say, oh, I'm just totally open to the highest of the high, and so on. If you have weak character, if you don't know how to have faith, if you let doubts get the best of you, if you let the ego undermine guidance that's coming. This is up to us. It's not like God's going, gosh, I wish you would ask for clear guidance, or God saying, I hear you asking, but I'm not going to give it to you. You don't deserve, you have to grow, or whatever. That's not God. What's happening is we have to learn to work on our radio so that we can pick up that frequency. Radio, working on it or whatever, means partly you could say body attunement, but definitely mind attunement. And I've done talks on getting clear guidance. You can go watch. Some of them are in the paid DVD sets, and some are just in the free talks on YouTube in the playlists. Obviously those are going to be maybe less, the ones in the DVD sets might be a bit better in some ways because they're maybe longer and maybe have more detail to them, but they're going to overlap anyway, so just take what you can get. Whatever you can get your hands on, take it. DVD sets are like $20. So you would get 4 different talks on different topics in one set. And it's definitely worth it. $5 per talk, let's say, per 1.5 hour talk or whatever it is. But if somebody's tight on budget, go for the freebies, man, in YouTube. It's kind of cool. You can get those. We make as much as we can available. If we could do it all over again, we probably would take all the DVD sets and put them as free talks on YouTube. The downside to that is then you have 500 talks on YouTube and people don't know which ones to watch again just because of the number. Anyway, so it's not meant to be a talk on guidance per se, but it's on change channels when you don't recognize the light coming through whatever channel you're on. This goes for friendships, decision making. This doesn't resonate with peace, change channels. Flip the switch and recognize no matter what darkness in life I get into, I can choose again. The power of choice. And for some of you that are like, I've been working on my spiritual self for a long time. I don't need to, I don't have a problem where I need I have major issues with guidance or knowing, to flip the switch, the channel. But still it's worth hearing that when something's going on, it's what I chose to attune to today, and I can change it at any moment. And if you say, well, I definitely have that lesson down, good. Then hear what I'm saying so that you can polish it and do even better job at sharing that with others, your own students, family members, whomever you're sharing and talking with. Remember the importance, the power of choice. It comes from us. We have that power. We have the power to pray. That's a gift from God. But really underneath the power to pray is to say, I want something different from what I'm receiving. So that's still a prayer, simply the vehicle that's carrying the idea that I want to change my mind. I want to change my choice. I want to assert my real power instead of playing games with the ego power. One is a capital P, one's a lowercase p. And the ego power is not even a real power at all. It's a pseudo power, a quasi power, a joke that we learn to believe in and become afraid of. Oh, I did something bad, now I'm going to have bad karma, I can't change that, it's just going to play itself out. You know, that's not exercising your highest will. It's nice that you're accepting rather than totally crying and victimizing yourself, but it's not yet the power of God. You're getting there, but it's not yet the power of God. I'm not saying deny the laws of karma, let's say, but I am saying that we're more and more learning that we have such a powerful power to choose. We can even choose the grace of God over things like karma. One day people will realize all the biggest laws on the planet are just as false as anything else in this universe that's based on the ego or non-God thinking. You might say, well, karma, gravity, maybe that's all God thinking. It isn't, because it has to do with limitation, and God has nothing to do with limitation, and is encouraging us to learn that fact. And then we would say, well, if God has nothing to do with limitation, maybe I'll surrender that too and give that up. Then all of a sudden, greater levels of abundance come in, and spontaneous healings, and joy when you thought you could only feel pain, and so on and so on. So carry this with you. I pray it helps in whatever way it can help you. Practical ways, three-dimensional ways, mind-lit ways, the way you share with others, however it may help you. I'm very, very glad that it does. So thank you for your time and your commitment to these kinds of programs. God bless you, and stay on your path wherever you are on this path, beginning, intermediate, advanced, super advanced, or wherever you are on the path. Stay on the path. It's all that matters. All that matters is that, in the illusion, all that matters is that we bit into the apple, so to speak, and fell asleep. So that's the only problem. Now the only solution is waking up. And everything we talk about in these programs that you read about, that you practice in healing techniques with counselors, everything you've done that's related to personal growth is all about trying to wake up. And some things, and some teachers, and some books, and some healings, and some teachings are going to get you there faster than others. You get to decide, choice, which one you'd like to use for your own growth. But it depends on how fast you want to get there. And I like to just go. I'm not really much about procrastinating the inevitability of our ascension. So let's join together and get there. Don't let the outside world tell you what's really going on in the world. Let your inside tell you, and the inside can choose peace and see that peace, feel that peace, wish that peace, pray that peace upon others and yourself anytime you get an opportunity. Okay? So thank you very much. God bless you all. Stay on the path, as I said. It's the only thing that's real. Bye-bye.